a playlist original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gaius Bowling, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I didn't think we did until I text Jack, like, yeah, there's only these two things to cover, and then
Just a few things, man. Just
he sent me a text back, and I was like, yeah, oops, sorry, I forgot about all that stuff. So
it's just a good weekend to be part of the Back to the Block, the good week part of the Back to the Blockbuster crew here, because we got a lot to talk about this week, guys, and it's all positive, honestly, in my opinion.
yeah, it is all positive. It's we've been trying to be like, we need a pack show, and thankfully, there's a lot happening in the industry right now, and I'm gonna let you decide where you want to start because there's a lot, and I don't know what's more important for you. It's all good news though, so
I mean, it is your show, so you can choose. I'm just your your tiger. I just go after the topics. So
well,
you lead me.
all right. Well, since the majority of it will be DC related, let's start with some trailers, a couple trailers.
Wow.
New Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer premiered yesterday, which I didn't usually we get like emails about that, like a heads up, like, hey, this is gonna drop at this time, but that didn't happen yesterday. Um
When he says we, he means the
oh,
industry
oh.
insiders, the cool.
Not Jack, sorry.
Not me. I don't get those. I just get like everybody else.
You know what though? There's no rules against me forwarding those emails, so maybe I will start forwarding those emails to you, so you can also know.
Insider break, yeah, that'd
That's
be
each
great.
other. But yeah, it's a big movie, so I expect it like usually like the day or two before we get this hey, just heads up, so you can just write all your appropriate shells for your stories, so you can like send them out really quick, so you don't have to like oh crap, the trailer's out. You have to write up something really quick and generic. But yeah, it came out, and I'm gonna start by saying this. There's been a lot of people have been posting all these like side by side pictures from like one of the Spy Kids movies. I think it's the fourth one. I can't remember. I think it might in or it could be like that Shark Boy and Lava Girl. One of the Robert Rodriguez like kid movies from back in the day, because it looks some of the shots look very similar to that where they're in like the quantum realm, whatever. I still think it looks cool, but I did laugh at those comparisons because everyone was like, dude, I'm really concerned by how like this looks, and but I thought it was still a fun. I mean, I think the Ant-Man stuff is pretty light anyway, so I didn't expect anything too like thrilling in that regard, but it looks like a fun movie, and who doesn't like Paul Rudd in that role, and like the rest of the cast. And we also introduced Catherine Newton as their daughter. Their daughter's been played by several different actresses since
like three girls have played Cassie Lang
since Ant-Man, and I get the first two were young, but then the girl in Endgame was like age appropriate, but I guess not famous enough to join this third Ant-Man movie. So Catherine Newton is like an up and coming act. She was in this horror movie called Freaky and some other stuff, and she also looks like a fun addition to the cast, and like it seems like she's gonna fit in pretty well. And it looks like we're getting more Michelle Pfeiffer, more Michael Douglas, a Bill Murray cameo too. There's a lot going on in it, but it looks fun. Oh, and then also, of course, Jonathan Majors as Kang, which he looks great too.
Yeah, no, I mean, first, people compare like talking about what it looks. You need to realize this is a full CGI movie. There is not a single speck of physical or
Practical
or
effects.
practical effects being used at all. So
Yeah.
let's give them a bit of time to process and get those computers going. I mean, we've heard in the past about all the Marvel VFX teams just being like, it's impossible to like make these people happy, and like they have crazy demands. So let's just what that is. Yeah, it's it's gonna be a very heavy CGI movie in the quantum realm. It's Ant-Man. I don't take it seriously, but it's just odd to me that it's not odd, but like it makes sense. But would never have expected it to be like one of like the main lead ups to then Endgame,
Right.
or the next
Because this
next
is gonna be
iteration.
this is an important one. I mean, they're setting it up to be an important one because of what it
Yeah, and that's
possibly set
super
up.
important.
Yeah,
But it's like gonna be
which is
super
crazy,
fun.
right? Because like this was like I guess of all the like standalone ones, at least for me, like Ant-Man's always been like, even though I love Paul Rudd and like Evangeline Lilly is great in this, like the whole cast is great, but it's always been like lower tier standalone as far as the Marvels.
Consequences. Yeah. There's no
So
consequences in his movies.
right. There's not like, yeah, there's no real, yeah, you're right. There's no real, emotional depth to grab onto. Usually, they play more fun than uh serious. But
Yeah.
yeah, this one seems like it's setting up, a lot of important things, which I guess is cool that they're finally gonna. Because I imagine, I mean, this is just me making the assumption. This is probably the last one. I would assume that it's the last like standalone Ant-Man movie. I'm sure he'll be back in like
better
other
be.
stuff.
It
But
better
like,
be.
yeah, I mean, I guess if it's gonna be the final one, then like, knock it out of the park and connect it to like an even bigger story. So I'm cool with that. Yeah, I don't know, I have nothing real negative to say about it, and I agree. Like, it's a movie that's heavy CGI, and like I think we assumed we were gonna get that. So all the comparisons, while they're funny to compare them to how cheap that Spy Kids movie looked, um,
Yeah, but first put some respect on Spy Kids movies. All right.
the first one is the first one's good. The second one is good-ish. The third one in 3D trash, and I think there's a fourth one.
Okay,
That's not good.
so you must put respect on the first two at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But I do, speaking on like the whole like it being new and fun, I do like that they're doing Marvel shockingly is doing something different this time around, where they're actually giving the fans a full look at the big bad.
Yeah.
Of like,
instead of hiding it.
Yeah. Instead of hiding him like in the shadows and post credit scenes, like we literally get who he is, and like, and I have to think this is like a different iteration of him. I feel like there's like multiple iterations of Kang, and that's why it's the Kang dynasty, because there's multiple Kangs, like, ruling or whatever. But we get to see the big bad in like a movie that will then be like, okay, I know what's coming, instead of just being like Thanos and then not quick two movies, but two movies, and that's all you get out of Thanos. So excited for that. I think that's gonna be really cool. But yeah, other than that. But speaking on
Jonathan Majors,
Jonathan Majors, trailer Creed 3.
Yeah, he's gonna have like a good month. Like, it's like February to March. Like, good 2 months. Yeah, good 2 months. Good for him.
He is, and it's Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, so I'm excited for that. I feel like he's actually gonna kill it, because it's not that hard to write a boxing, heartfelt story. You just got to film it right, and the fighting's got to be dope. But Jonathan Majors looks like an absolute animal, he's like
ripped,
just
like it's like he's
like shredded,
actually beyond ripped.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, and I think it's gonna be dope, especially it being in LA. Like, they're both like from the LA orphanages and whatnot. So I think it's gonna be sweet. So I'm super excited for that.
My first thought when I saw the Creed 3 trailer is that. So I like the first one. I thought the second one was good, even though I felt it was highly like not that necessary. I mean, it was one of the things that it felt like they made it because the first one made money, but at least like, it still felt very connected.
It was the Top Gun before the Top Gun.
Right. And it still felt very connected to Rocky as well, right? But with this, I feel like, I mean, and they have to do this because, Sylvester Stallone's not going to be in it. This one feels a little bit more like mainstreamy, a little bit like it feels a little bit more detached from the whole like Rocky universe. But I guess that's what they have to kind of do if they want it to be its own thing. Like, I think they relied on the connection to Sylvester Stallone and Rocky more so in the first one. I guess in the second one too. But this one has to be like its own beast, basically. Like, it's Michael B. Jordan's kind of time to really shine. Like, it's his own thing. Like, I agree with you about him being a director on this. It was a good choice for him to choose this one.
Like, you can't mess up a boxing movie, but like, think the second one they Top Gun before Top Gun, in the sense that they built off the lore of like another movie and then extended it to an actual good story.
And it was a lot of fan service too, right? They brought in like,
they brought in all the old
Drago,
they brought Drago, they brought the fucking mom in, they brought the whole thing. So it did really well. That was a great movie. I don't think anybody should
it was a solid follow. It was a solid follow-up. Like,
for this one, I hope Rocky didn't die in the 7 years past, because it's 7 years in the future from the last movie. So that may be the easy way out to be like, because he does quote, it's like, I built this, it looks like he has like a boxing empire, now, where he's quit fighting. He's had the
Right.
belt for a long time, and now he just signs other fighters, and like he's built this, thing. And then the other guy's going to come back and challenge him or call him out for like something they did as kids, where he took the fall for something. Shocker. Easy movie trope to write on right there. So excited for it. It's going to be a good movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I always think it's cool, like however this happened, whether it's like film delays or whatever it work. These things sometimes work out for certain people, and for Jonathan Majors, how this stuff got scheduled, February of 2023 and then March of 2023, he's gonna have like a really good 2 months. Gonna be very busy doing press for two very big movies, and it's cool to see. I mean, to see people have their moment like that, like he seems very deserving of it, and he seems excited for what's coming. And yeah, I think he's right for both roles too. He's very, not only is he seem, I mean, he's very physically committed to both of these parts. So
Yeah.
like when I said, when I saw the trailer for Creed 3, I was like, that guy doesn't even look human. Like,
Yeah.
he looks like at all, like whatsoever.
Just toss it up for another African American lead role, like chopped
Yeah.
up, like he can do it. Like that's another name you can like put in the that tier of just like, we need a guy,
Right. And it's funny too is that the Creed there are so many connections in Creed to Marvel, because like Michael B. Jordan was in Black Panther, Tessa Thompson, who plays his love interest, is of course in like
Valkyrie.
and, and then now him. So like, yeah, that's a fun little circle that they have going on there too. Like, yeah, good for all of them. I'm happy for every single one of them.
I am very interested to find out how Tessa Thompson can hear, because in the last movie her hearing's deteriorating. So definitely interested to see that. But yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on Creed. I can do a whole episode on that. But
yeah, for sure.
Yes. And moving on.
But that, I mean, did you like the Ant-Man trailer overall? Like, it was enough to kind of get you interested in what's coming?
Not really. I mean, I think it's just a Marvel movie that I'm going to watch, obviously, because I'm a sheep in that sense.
All of us are.
Marvel put something out. I have to watch it. It's been 15 years of doing this, so we're gonna do it. I think I just need to see a little bit more. I think the ending, the ominous question that Kang asked. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what the hell? Yeah. Bill Murray being in it, awesome, but like,
why?
That's hilarious.
Random.
I you know how Bill Murray works, right? Like, he doesn't have a phone. He just has an answering service.
And people that's how they like get in touch with him for
roles. He does not have a cell phone. He literally has like an answering machine. You still call it. He'll check it like once in a while. Like, he doesn't have a manager. So can you imagine Marvel Studios like chasing down Bill Murray to get him to play a role in a Marvel movie? It's just so funny to me. The dude literally doesn't do, like, he does not check he's fucking Bill Murray. He doesn't check his messages.
Now that I know that, it sounds something that would be very Bill Murray to do.
Yeah, he's just, like, I don't care.
He's so like, it's interesting too, because Bill Murray is going through, and it seems like a little bit more under the radar, but maybe coming in more into the mainstream. He's going through a lot of stuff where people are bringing up old stories about him, and like Gina Davis is an actress. Like, she's promoting a book and said that he kind of made some advances on her back in the day that she found inappropriate.
We're not.
I don't know. I'm just saying, but I just think it's interesting that like he's in this spot now, where this kind of thing, this is happening, where he's getting all these, like, he's still acting and working, but then like bubbling underneath the surface is like, let's bring up the stuff that he did a long time ago.
Case, I'm not a holy man, but I pray to God every day that I don't have a biography written about me later in life, because that's if you did that to every actor Bill Murray's age, shit's going down. Like, good God.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you like watch any of those film documentaries, or like what's that one with Bill Murray does, like when they're like at a summer camp? I forgot the name of it.
It's not something I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, but like that fucking thing, there's photos of just like chicks all around, and he's just like, I'm fucking Bill Murray. So it was the 70s. So
yeah.
I'm not discrediting I'm not discrediting anything that anyone says.
No, not at all.
But it is the 70s.
And Bill Murray, like, even though I love Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day and like, so many things that he's done, Stripes, like so many things that he's like done over the years, there is a part of me that thinks that he reminds me a bit of Chevy Chase, where it's like there's a bit of like, oh, there's something unlikable a little bit, like,
yeah,
like
people
like,
bro, people,
yeah.
not to bring sports into it, but sports time. He's a big golfer, and like he loves golf and has his own golf brand. It's super funny, but he has a lot of antics on the golf course that people don't like. And he's just like, all right, dude, we get it that you're fucking Bill Murray, like, we get it. But at the same time, he's the fucking man. So
that's true. It's funny that you said that answering machine story because it reminded me when I was watching something about the making of Ghostbusters, and he left them all hanging about whether or not he was going to do the movie up until like they basically said like until that first day of shooting they didn't even know if he would like show up because he wasn't really giving like a definite like, oh, I'm into this, I want to do it. Like they were like, okay, well, we're just gonna hope for the best. And I guess he's been like that forever.
That's
like,
Bill Murray. Yeah, it's Bill Murray.
That's who he is. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Ant-Man. I feel the same way where it's like it looks fun. I'm not like overly excited for it yet, but I'm sure if I see like there's a clear difference between seeing like the 2 Wakanda Forever trailers that we've gotten and then that one Ant-Man trailer. Just I know they're different types of Marvel movies, but just need to see more from Ant-Man as it gets closer to coming out. But then we also have another Marvel trailer, which I forgot this was coming because there's been so much Marvel stuff. But they've been doing these like kind of one-off specials. They did the whole Werewolf by Night, which I still haven't watched yet.
Still haven't watched that either.
And now there's a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, and I don't particularly care. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I just have one comment on it.
Yeah. What?
It better be longer than an hour.
I can't see all this hype. You want it to almost be a movie, like an hour and a half?
Yes.
The upside is that like we got all the cast except for I think Zoe Saldana. I guess she's kind of because of what's going to go on with like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like how they're using her. But the upside is that it's written and directed by James Gunn, so there's still the same creative mind behind it. It does sound really cheesy and like I don't know. It doesn't sound like my thing, but maybe like some people saw that trailer today and thought it was fun and thought it looked like a
definitely
good time.
Looks fun for sure. But, not much to like talk about. I mean, I would love if they use like part of this to explain where Gamora is and like give it an actual explanation.
I mean, I would assume they would want to like kind of connect it to as far as like with her, like talking about her and like maybe setting up where they end up in Guardians.
Exactly.
3.
Yeah. So it's
I'm
good.
sure it'll be fun.
It's smart.
Be cute.
It's smart. It gives you like 3.5 Guardians.
Yeah, right.
Movies.
And then like it comes out November 25th, so right in time for it's like Thanksgiving and
yeah,
I'm sure it'll be fun.
That's when Thanksgiving is.
Yeah. True.
Like I think it's the 25th. Pretty sure that day every year. I'm close to it.
It's a lot. Yeah. And then but I know they only really experimented with the one-off thing once, right, with Werewolf by Night, and that went well for them, I guess. It got good reviews. I mean, I haven't watched
people who haven't watched it. I
haven't watched it yet. It's a timing thing. I just haven't had time to watch it, but it got really good reviews, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it for being like different from the other stuff Marvel has given us. And I guess the fact that it has been successful, like they were like, hey, like, will this is it just a one-off, or are you gonna like try to explore more with it? And they want to explore more with it instead of just making it kind of a one-off. Like the one-off thing seems weird when you cast certain people. Like I'm blanking on the guy's name who is leading that, but he's not like a no-name like actor. So it seems weird to like use someone like that for just like a one-off kind of thing and not explore it again. So I imagine they will down the road if especially since
they're Disney. They have all the money in the world to do whatever they want.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all the very happy Marvel news.
Happy Marvel news, but it's a great segue from Guardians into the news that just dropped today concerning James Gunn and DC.
Yep. So
just a big old
what's so funny about this story is that like we've been talking about for weeks like who is going to be their next, like who's going to be the Kevin Feige, who's going to lead DC Studios, which means that this person will be running like film, television, like all the stuff that's related to DC They would only be reporting to what's his name again? The Warner Brothers.
David Zaslav.
They'll be dealing with some other Warner Brothers people, but that's more about the merchandising and like marketing stuff. But DC apparently needs like more than one person to be there, Kevin Feige, because they got two, which is one of them being James Gunn, as we mentioned from he's been with Marvel with Guardians of the Galaxy. He got in bed with DC. Oddly enough, when he was let go by Disney and Marvel, when all those old tweets popped up, and then he was chosen to direct the Suicide Squad, and then when he was chosen for that, Marvel was like, well, those tweets were old, and we want you back. So they rehired him to finish out the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. But in the meantime, he started building this big, nice relationship with DC, making the Suicide Squad, and then doing Peacemaker, and then we had talked about like his secret DC project last week, which I guess this is probably it. Even though I guess he will be doing like projects, he's still gonna be what they said exclusive only to DC, so he can't work with Marvel. So he's only going to be doing stuff with DC. And then the other guy is Peter
Safran.
Yeah, and more on the producing end. He's that guy. So more of like the money part, which is cool because you got one person who is going to be the creative face of this, and one person who is going to be in charge of the money part, which I think is smart. And I guess like they approached Peter, I guess last week about doing it, and he didn't want to do it alone. That was his concern about doing it by himself. And then they got James Gunn in the mix, and now everyone is very, very excited and positive about what's going to happen with the DC. Okay, here's what I want to. This is the weird thing that kind of got brought up. The Hollywood Reporter, when they talked about it, did not call it the DCEU. They dropped the E, so everyone on Twitter was like, "Why did they drop the E?" I don't know if there's like anything deeper with them dropping the E, or if that was. I have no idea, but it's a good look, I think, to have someone as reliable and creative and hasn't really disappointed like James Gunn, and it seems like he is going to be working really well with Peter Safran. So this is week 2 or 3 of very positive DC news after we spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks complaining about it being like a sinking ship. So kudos to them, and I'm looking forward to what they do next. I mean, I'm like to have someone that like, I think it's really important to have someone like James Gunn, who is clearly knows what he's doing on the creative and kind of being in charge of that. And I think it's also good to kind of have someone who's squarely focused on like the marketing and like distribution side of it and the producing side of it. So now that all these tasks are being like put on one person, I didn't even think about like having 2 people in that role. But that seems like I mean, everyone can't just be Kevin Feige, and I guess even Kevin Feige needs help. I'm sure he has like help, and like now we have these 2 guys that are going to be running it, and they seem like the best choices, especially compared to all the choices that we had before that were rumored to be taking over.
Yeah, no, I did not expect James Gunn or like any director
Not at all.
to like be named at it. From what I read in the Hollywood Reporter, it was like DC wanted James Gunn, and James Gunn was like, I'm down with it, but I don't want to do it alone, which I thought was super smart. And then he's like, well, I'm just gonna bring on Peter, who did DC's one of the most profitable movies in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Obviously we know that you just said he's done projects for DC. I just think it's a smart thing because he clearly knows the secret juices of Marvel and their success, of how to intertwine storylines, develop characters, and find directors that can create these stories that are individually awesome, but at the same time they're towards a central vision of getting to. Unfortunately, Marvel has made the precedent, builds up to a huge team up movie, which again no one's complaining about. Like, we got Justice League, was just 5 years, 10 years too early. So super excited about that. And then you have Peter Safran, who's like a great producer. Like it's always so now you just have him as
The money guy.
the money guy, the guy who finds other producers. Like if he just putting it out there, like he's the type of person who could bring Zack Snyder back in a flash without like all he has to do is just ask David Zaslav. Like there's one and that's it. Like the only people or person he needs to check with is David Zaslav. So it's like that type of power. Like they can do what they want because they trust him. Furthermore on that, yes, it's weird they took the E out of the DCEU, but it's always been a state of controversy what it should be referenced by.
It should be, yeah.
But there's obviously like basically how I look at it is the DC universe, which is just our normal Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Wonder Woman, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Then DC Black is like Joker.
Yeah.
I
guess the Batman was that big part of that or no?
No, the Batman is just the Reeves for like the Reeves.
Reeves is his own thing.
Reeves is super lucky because he gets basically his own universe because it's
Yeah.
so different from the other two that he can't like put two and two together and be like, yep, Robert Pattinson is the Joker's Batman. Like it can't work.
Yeah.
So he's just like, dude, like why don't I just make like everyone loves DC villains, so why don't I just make awesome shows for you guys?
Yeah.
I do have the speak first contract with you guys. So boom. That's awesome. So basically, Todd Phillips and like DC Black, I think, is run by the other two new Warner DC heads. Their names are passing me right now, but those are the people that approved Henry Cavill coming back.
Right.
So those two people are obviously in the know, and then it's just a smart move altogether because I think James Gunn, like I said before, has the secret sauce to all this. So it's a good move. Good move by DC. I'm excited to see what happens too.
I think it's good that they both were kind of aware that they didn't want to do it alone. Like they were both kind of aware they need each other a bit. Like they want to take on the responsibility of it's a big responsibility. And like I said, I never even thought of like two people doing it. But that seems like the thing that makes the most sense. Like you have the creative mind, and then you have the guy who's like, I'm just going to focus on getting all the right producers and distribution and marketing and all that stuff. And now James Gunn just has to worry about how all these projects are moving forward creatively. And that's been the biggest problem with DC before, right? There were so many cooks in that kitchen that it became impossible to have a real like creative focus because it was like all over the place. And
they did. Zack Snyder had a crew of like directors that did, and like he was writing the Wonder Woman stuff. He was like Deborah Snyder was producing other stuff. It's just that they weren't aligned with the old hierarchy of the actual business people. Now they are, and obviously it's too, sour milk now to get back to that. But they did. It's just obviously now they have a one direct vision instead of 2 or 5 or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. But it's a smart thing, and James Gunn has repeatedly demonstrated that he does know very well Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. He's just like, I want to do the other stuff. So right. I'll find the people. I'll find the J.J. Abrams and the Quentin McCarys to do our Big Ten polls, because I can get those guys. Like those are my guys. We're all directors who do big shit. Like, please, like James Gunn. This is I'm saying it now. Get it. Please get me Denis Villanueva for something. I know I'm butchering his name, but get him for something. Like Dr. Fate would be epic with him, and a new Dr. Fate. Well, more on that later.
Yeah.
But I just think he's got the right position in the industry to make some moves.
He has a lot of respect in the industry. I remember when that stuff happened, even that stuff that happened with the old tweets and then him getting fired in a kind of an era where everyone gets canceled. There were a lot of people that had his back that were like, hey, like this happened a long time ago. He already apologized for it. Like, why are we bringing it up now? And that says a lot about like the kind of level of respect that he has had it up to that point, where people could be like, hey, I mean, it looks bad, but like this is a long time ago. He already said what he needed to say about it. Why are we trying to like get rid of him? And I mean, he's continued that. I mean, I don't even know this for sure. Like his working relationship beyond the whole like fired and getting rehired with Marvel, is it still good? I mean, I know he made that last Guardians movie is going to be his final stuff with Marvel. But I saw someone on Twitter asking like why wouldn't he want to continue his relationship with them? But I imagine that he was offered more creative. Like there's more creative things he can do with the DC universe at this point than he could with anything with Marvel.
no, if he probably looks 10 years down the line, there's nothing for him to do at
Right.
Marvel.
Like he's done
So-
everything he needs to do as far as
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
His
There's
work with them.
why else would he need to do anything else at Marvel? He's created literally probably one of the better trilogies, like top 3 trilogies in the Marvel universe. He came back to life from being canceled essentially, so I think he's done everything he needed to do in Marvel. So
he has said
place.
that there's more creative freedom with DC as far as, and it's so weird too because I feel like Kevin Feige gives creative freedom at Marvel, but he said that he had more
But he
creative
also
license.
definitely asks, like, he doesn't ask, he says, like, you gotta do it this way, you know?
Right. Yeah,
So-
that makes sense. Well, I look forward to
He's-
what he's gonna do with or both of them, not just him. I mean, like what this new kind of era is for DC, which seemed to have started like over the weekend with like one of their major releases. I mean, everything about like other than like with the stuff with Black Adam with like the bad reviews, and I want to apologize right now for being very wrong because I said that the Rotten Tomato score from critics would go up. It actually like went down like real bad. It was like a 39% the last time I looked, but a more robust 90% audience score and a B plus cinema score, which Dwayne Johnson
you live by the cinema score.
I do, well, because cinema score is important with certain movies because you can kind of tell where they're gonna like fall apart. Like it depends on like certain genres. Like horror genre gets like a C, that means that it's gonna fall apart quickly. Superhero movie gets B minus, it's not gonna do that well either. But encouraging the 90% audience score for Black Adam, and like Dwayne Johnson leaned into that on his Instagram. That's what he kind of celebrated on one of his posts. That this is a movie that was made for fans, and the fans seem to respond to it. I also want to apologize too for being wrong about the box office. It did do well. I thought it was gonna like be higher than what it was. I thought it was gonna be like in the 80, 85. I guess what happened when the reviews came out, the bad reviews, the tracking dropped down to $60 million for opening weekend. So I guess the good news is that it opened to $67 million, which means it beat its new tracking. And it opened to $140 million globally. It still has a ways to go to recoup its $200 million budget, reportedly, and that's without marketing costs. But the upside is that it's the only like tentpole movie in release until Black Panther comes out on November 11th. So it has it has a lot of time to itself before it has to give up some of the shine to Black Panther. But I want to just say positive because I don't get to talk about DC movies in a positive light sometimes, other than Wonder Woman, I guess. And then I know you do more than I do for some of the other ones.
All of them.
I was what struck me the most, and I said this on Twitter, that like it was the first time I was truly like really entertained by a DC EU movie in a really long time, where I was aware that like while watching it that I could see why critics wouldn't love it. I could totally see that, but because there's not much story to speak of, but it was so highly entertaining and like never let up. It was just like wall to wall action from like start to finish, and like the cast was great. Dwayne Johnson was great. Like it was funny. All the like fight scenes, CGI. Well, I thought all that was pretty good. Like I wasn't really disappointed with like how it turned out, and maybe I can be smug and be like, give me more story or like give me more of the JSA because I thought they were great. I wanted more from them only because like I thought they were so much fun and they were great together. But yeah, I was surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
I hate that you have that like surprise in the sound of your voice. It's like,
I
oh wow,
I did.
I enjoyed a DC movie. It's like
I would know. I was really.
Movie was
I think I sat in my chair, just like entertain me, and then like I was like, oh okay, you did.
yeah, you were entertaining the shit out of it. It was fucking awesome. It was fun to watch. Like I feel like all of these reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are just cookie cutter, like they were planned. Like as soon as it came out, like we can open up, it's like, oh yeah, Dwayne Johnson this, the charm's not there for that Dwayne Johnson that we know, or like we didn't get to know these characters that are introduced, or so and so and so on and so forth. It's like
Yeah.
you are literally nitpicking at things that Marvel has done. I'm not saying Marvel that. I'm just saying for the sake of the argument that we're trying to get at. It's like Hawkeye, randomly introduced in Thor, like just randomly.
Because they had to get him in before Avengers, right? They had to be like, oh, like
exactly my point. So like, oh, why is there no like there? I mean, Thor's not the greatest movie of all time, but why is there no like, this is the exact same example. You're introducing a random character that we don't know, and he's got to be important to the character or to the movie. So big dump in the pants there to anybody who's like, I want more JSA. I'm a little shocked the movie was actually under like 2 hours total, like minus credits and whatnot.
I was surprised too.
It really could have gotten an extra 20 minutes of dialogue and other stuff. Like, and I wouldn't have been upset by it,
So that would have helped. That would have helped out maybe for people who thought that the story was thin.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If there was more,
like,
because like it kept like for me, it kept moving from like, and I didn't complain about it, but it was like it kept moving from beat to beat to beat without like a lot of explanation. There'd be like a little bit of dialogue that's like, all right, well that explains kind of what's going on. I'm like, all right.
The timeline of the movie was essentially explanation, fight scene, cool down, explanation, fight scene, cool down, explanation, fight scene. And it was like, I'm cool with this. This is fun. Like, I got Hawkman flying all over the place. Dr. Fate is doing his thing. Atom Smasher has no idea what's going on, and it's hilarious. Like,
so I want to like using him as an example, right? Like, I got the impression, like, just, and I didn't need a lot, but like, I got the impression just from a few lines of dialogue that he was just trying to live up to to what being a hero is and all that stuff. Like, I didn't need like a full on like rundown about like what he was trying to do, but I thought like with a few lines of dialogue, and I know that might not be enough for everyone, but I thought with just a little bit of that, they were like, oh, I understand who this guy is. And like same thing with like most of them. I thought like, it's hard to do an origin movie like this and have so many characters in it, and I get it. I mean, we've been having that problem for a long time with like ensemble like comic book movies. I like, there's an argument to be made that X-Men had this problem too, where it's like, all right, Wolverine is the focus and then everyone else is just kind of there. But I thought they did the best they could with like trying to like deal with Black Adam's origins and then also fitting their stuff in too. I actually didn't think it was like crammed in. I just thought I got just enough and I was fine with that. I was completely okay with like the characterizations and all that stuff in it. It didn't bother me.
The only person I really think that they needed to give a little bit more explanation on is Hawkman, because he has a extremely state-of-the-art estate in Louisiana that like it's just like I know he's he's supposed to be an eternal being that's passed down from one to one up, but would love to have known a little bit more about that and like how he got to be so like how Amanda Waller is okay with him.
Oh yeah, like that's true. Yeah.
Like that whole thing kind of is glazed over. I hope they like explain that more with a Hawkman series or something, because Aldous Hodge, he did great. I thought he was hilarious.
He was really good. He was probably like one of my favorites. Yeah. Him and Pierce Brosnan were amazing.
His suit was dope. I just would have loved to like, how did you get to this reputation? Like, like how did you get there?
The level of respect.
What did you do? What makes you so special that Amanda Waller, who, only fucks with an X, like fucks with like Superman because she knows she can't stop him, Batman because he knows all the dirty secrets, and like that's about it. Like she doesn't like mess with like superheroes like on this like type of like oh, we're chilling type thing.
Right.
So definitely would have loved to hear a little bit about that, but still like his character, his like whole like all about justice. We're gonna take you down.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if we gotta use violence, we will. It's like I loved it. It was hilarious. It was like so cliche that it was funny because like
Well,
he
yeah,
really
they needed
believes,
that. They needed
he
that
really
counter.
believes what he's
They needed that
saying.
counterpoint, right? They needed him to be like all like, you know, truth, justice in the American way, and then have Black Adam be like, no. That was a good opposition. I mean, like good opposition to have. You would know this more than me, and this is why I was wondering while I was watching it. The character, the way that Dwayne Johnson plays him, is that how he is in the comic books? Because I couldn't like tell. Because sometimes when I'm watching Dwayne Johnson, something feels very just The Rock about what he's doing. Even in this, even though there's complaints about him not having as much charisma, I still got Dwayne Johnson vibes the whole time I was watching it. So I was like, is this how his character is in the comic books, or is this him
No, yeah,
putting
no,
his own take on
it's
it?
it's a pretty accurate depiction of
Black Adam, and like
let's just look at the context of the character. He's a 5,000-year-old Egyptian who, like, back in societal days, like, there's like, like three things to think, like fight, survive, and eat, like
Yeah.
it's very black and white for him, like there's corporal punishment. There's, you chop a hand off for stealing something in those days, like, so to bring that into the normal days, or not to the normal days, to the current days, yeah, it totally makes sense. Like he's not a joking type of guy where he makes like that's why he's the polar opposite of Billy Batson and Shazam. Like
Right.
it's a man who is no fun, no games. Like I will kill you if I have to. But he also like does believe in a certain level of justice. So it was great. I mean, I thought like his look was great, like his costume was sick. It was also like I really hope that they talked to David Sandberg about like how he got inspiration for his suit because he's essentially the guy who created the lore of Shazam visually. So it was great to see them like kind of work the same exact type of look.
Yeah.
Because at one point I was really annoyed that it was just basically wearing like just a bodysuit, like there was no cape. But it was great. Like it was fun for me to watch. Like intergang, like you didn't like we said multiple times before, like this isn't a movie that needs a lot of explanation. Like I'm not looking for groundbreaking writing here. I'm looking for The Rock to fly and shoot electricity bolts and fight a demon.
Yeah.
Like we don't even need to talk about the actual story. The only thing we need to talk about is Dwayne Johnson, the introduction of like Dr. Fate, which he was awesome. Pierce Brosnan was great. Unfortunately, sorry for the hiccups. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, he dies. Like,
is that like a finite kind of thing, or is there a way to?
No, yeah, it's but he could come back. Like, you don't see his body die, so that's the whole like thing. So they've even said it too that Pierce Brosnan loved playing that character too. So it's like never say never with Dr. Fate because he is magical and like he goes to other realms. I did hate that everyone was like, oh, Dr. Fate is such a copy of Doctor Strange. It's like, you're only saying that because you saw the movies first.
That's a good point to make. There was one review that actually pointed to every single character and compared them to Marvel people. They were like, well, Atom Smasher is just Ant-Man, and Cyclone is just Storm. Hawkman was just Falcon. They were like, there's all these comparisons to Marvel, and like the only reason that you're right, the only reason they're saying that is because they saw Marvel movies that had similar characters first. But like, when did these characters get introduced in like the comic books?
Like Hawkman's been around since like the 50s.
Yeah,
Dr. Fate's been around. Doctor Strange came out before Doctor Strange.
Or Dr. Fate came out before Doctor Strange.
Yeah, then Cyclone being compared to an X-Men is so far, like such a reach for that person who wrote that article. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Just to like, oh yeah, no, someone's gonna come up with a character that can move the wind. It's not like it's a groundbreaking idea here, people. It's just, again, you saw one first, so you're assuming that that's where you got the character from.
Yeah,
but they're all in books beforehand. So stupid on that person to like try and like make that a bad thing. Like,
yeah,
if you want to go, I mean, we can go through the whole thing. Superman is Thor. Batman is Iron Man.
Yeah.
I mean, so on and so forth. Cyborg is you can do Cyborg Iron Man, you know, whatever. But there's a lot of parallels between the two. Deathstroke, Deadpool, literally the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Except one is like immortal. So I hate that stupid thing. But him as a character, fantastic. Visuals were dope.
They were really good.
Yeah, and you didn't need a lot of explanation because everyone else was explaining except for you, like that don't touch the helmet, this, that, and it's like, okay, sweet. We'll figure it out at another time. Like, obviously, like the Rock's not gonna not have this guy back. So
Yeah.
if you can just talk on the villain for a little second, like it's a knock on the it's not a knock on the movie, it just didn't matter to me. Like it's
Yeah, it felt like so that would be if I had a complaint, I guess. Felt like an afterthought. But I guess what we've talked about the movie before, like because we were like in the advertising for it, you don't really get a hint of like who the real villain is, because the marketing wanted you to kind of believe that like the anti-hero kind of was going to be like the biggest threat, but then they introduce I guess they don't introduce they introduce the guy early in the game that becomes like the big bad at the end, but like it felt very like tacked on.
It easily could have been that like Black Adam saved somebody from like they saved Canada from like a natural disaster or like a nuclear strike. Easily could have done that, and we could have been like, all right, cool. Especially when the CGI of that character just does not look as great as it could have been.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't my favorite, but again, worked for the story, served its purpose, and it brought the human element into play a little bit, like with the son, and the mother. They were great. I read one point it's like they're basically the representation of his son and wife from 5,000 years ago, I was like, that's great. And I would love to see him become like the Jimmy Olsen for Black Adam,
Yeah.
for Superman, you know. So I think that's really great. Like the human moments hit, like when his mom got him back, or you know, those hit. So
they really
did. Not really understanding all the hate for the writing, whatnot. I understand where some of it lackluster, but like just the pure hate for like this is stupid is, I think, unwarranted and was planned.
Yeah, and usually, you know what? I think I brought it up to you in person, because usually kid characters like this in movies like can be annoying, or like precocious, or like I thought he was really good. I really like kind of bought into his enthusiasm and like the kind of like chemistry that he had with Black Adam's character. I liked the relationship between him and his mother as well. I thought that was handled really well. I also kind of enjoyed that, like, you know, DC gets it accused of not really dabbling in humor a bit, and there was some funny stuff in this that didn't feel like
dude
forced.
they had a famous comedian, Mo, the brother with the hair. My guy Mo from Netflix, the show Mo, go watch it. He was hilarious.
Yeah, like it didn't feel forced either. Like it didn't feel like they were just trying to throw in jokes. I love the stuff with like Adam Smasher kind of being like a klutz and kind of like not quite the competent hero he used to be.
When he was eating the fried chicken when they first meet him, I was like, where the fuck did he get the fried chicken from?
Yeah. But yeah, I thought he was really good in that part, because I'm only familiar with him based on like stuff I've been made to watch for work, and it's usually like the Netflix romantic comedy stuff that he's been in. But I thought he was really funny and he was good. And Quintessa Swindell, who plays, I guess, Cyclone, I thought she was good too. They all had like a good camaraderie, that group. I thought they were all like really, they felt like a team, even though they were just kind of put together like that. But like, I really dug I got a sense of like team with them when I was watching it. You could tell like they all kind of like working with each other, and that was like a cool thing to kind of see on screen. And I thought that like I said, we talked about Pierce Brosnan. I thought he was really good, and like it's cool when people like him at this stage of their career just do things to like kind of have fun. And I feel like this is what he was doing with this. He was like, this is just going to be a really fun role to take on, and like he seemed like he really enjoyed himself, and he was really good. He was also really funny, but also I liked the kind of more serious stuff he had with like Aldrich Hodges' character, about their kind of relationship. Another relationship that was only formed with like a few instances of dialogue, which wouldn't be enough for critics apparently, because they thought that there was no real emotional like connection, but I actually got it. In a few lines, you could just tell what their relationship was.
Yeah, well, they do fail to mention that out like Hawkman and Dr. Fate are both like basically two immortal beings who like basically change over and change over. So they probably do hold each other's like previous self's memory.
Yeah.
So that's where like that connection comes into play. Is that like they've always known each other, regardless if it's Pierce Brosnan or the next Dr. Fate and next Hawkman, like they'll know of that person before that they become Dr. Fate or Hawkman. So
right.
it's like a pre-downloaded thing in the system of like, oh yeah, I know this person. But yeah, no, it definitely felt it too. It sucked, but
yeah.
I think I read an article. It was like Pierce Brosnan loved how like when he said the last lines, it was like, I see no future and it's beautiful. He kind of related it to himself being like, I'm 69, almost 70, you know.
Oh wow, he went deep.
Yeah. So he thought it was very cool. I just think it's funny that like you say, like, oh yeah, it's definitely like a super fun role to like do.
Yeah.
Probably the most physical work he probably did, or like the least amount of work he did because he was in CGI.
For most of
in
it.
and mocap. Yeah, like it wasn't even mocap because he was actually like flying around in the air. So it's like, we'll just CGI that. So hilarious.
I guess that's the same for Noah since Atom Smasher. Like, I mean, outside of like, I mean, because when they have to make him big and stuff, like, they didn't really need him there, right? Like, or do they have him? Do they motion capture him for any of that, or is he just
no? You can motion capture,
or is he just providing the voice and like all that?
Yeah, you can motion capture him and then enlarge him because they need to get his face. They need to get like, the Deadpool face.
That's true.
Also, yeah, people calling out like, "Oh, he looks like Deadpool." It's like, that's kind of what happens when you put a mask on with white eyes. So
yeah,
Deadpool. Call it Deadpool all you want.
Yeah,
but again, it's just because you saw it first.
Yeah, I will say
it's
that
different.
What I thought was cool and like this whole section of the movie was my favorite. Like from the moment that they resurrect him the first time up until when the JSA and they have that first kind of fight with him, that like 20 minutes, I don't know how long it was. That is like, I thought like was the most like, I was having the most fun watching that section of the movie. It was just like the action was really good, the CGI was really good, the score was amazing too, like everything about. And then like when they use like certain like kind of popular songs like Painted Black by the Rolling Stones and like some of the action scenes, I thought that was really, it was hard not to be pumped up by it. Like I said, I know you said it was like you were mad, not mad, but I was like so shocked that I was thoroughly entertained by all of it. I just wasn't expecting to be that entertained by it. And I thought they did that stuff well. If that's the point, just to make something that like, because I saw it in a packed theater and everyone loved every part of it. There was a lot of cheering, there was a lot of clapping. Everyone's talking about The Rock's high body count in this. There's a lot of people died at his hands, which I thought was cool, and they turned that into a joke of like, you can't really kill everybody. You need to kind of keep people alive so you can get information.
No, yeah, that was a really good one. Where he's like, Dr. Itsuko, we need him. It's like,
yeah,
you killed him, didn't you?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Can you? He's like, can you not kill everyone, please? We need somebody.
So I thought all that stuff was fun and like,
exactly. Like they're just having fun.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it bothers Warner Brothers DC that they still haven't found like the critical love, other than Wonder Woman, I guess, the real critical love that Marvel's gotten? Or they're like, whatever, this is just for the fans and we don't need it?
No, they obviously feel like, because it takes dollars out of the way. Like you said, this is probably going to be I guarantee, I would love to see this get like another $50 million this weekend, which I think it could do super easy. Because like me and you were going to tell our friends, like, no, it's actually super fun. Like, regardless of the reviews, like it's still super fun to watch.
Yeah. Does it have one?
But yeah,
it has a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, which like, that's a really good score for a movie like this. I mean,
yeah, like so again, like I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes, but I just really think that people just don't I don't think people will let there be good Marvel movies and good DC movies. It's that divisive. It's
like you can't have both. I mean, I don't. Yeah,
you can't.
And like it's weird because like they're so, and like I feel. I mean, I've dumped on DC before too, but I do feel bad that they're so far behind. Like I said, that review that we pointed to with like comparing like their characters to Marvel characters, and that wasn't just because this guy who wrote this review is like so keenly aware of the comic books. He's just talking about like I've seen these other people in these Marvel movies first, so then he's taking a shit on it because of that. Like I do feel bad that they're so far behind that it seems like it's hard for them to catch up to what Marvel has been doing. But that's probably going to change soon. But yeah, I was wondering that if like I still think they want the critical love, but like I guess with something like this, if you got Dwayne Johnson be like, no, we got the audience love, let's just roll with that. That works out better. I mean, like that was I think that was a good thing to lean on, and I mean, I'm sure he probably wanted better critical reviews, but like you said, he made this for the fans, and like it seems like they like it, what they got so far. Especially where things kind of end up in the future of the DCU with a certain character that pops up in the. It was funny about the.
Can I just hold on? Yeah, I wanted to segue into that before.
Yeah.
Because you made a good point. Like, one, Warner Brothers does want the critics,
But they want the money and the fans
Yeah.
because the fans are the ones who spend the money. And man, did they do it? Or excuse me, let me make more perspective.
did The Rock do it?
Yeah, he did.
Guys, he did it. He fucking did it.
So
Like, we knew it was gonna.
we
happen,
knew it was gonna happen.
but
We already
he
talked about
fucking-
we
he
talked about it
fucking
because
did
it leaked. And you know what? It's weird because someone wrote a story on CBR saying the producer was mad that it leaked. I kind of thought it got leaked on purpose. But the producer said he was mad. He said he was upset that it leaked early. I got to write a story for CBR about how Dwayne Johnson got the big Henry Cavill Superman return to happen. It took a long time, and he said it wasn't easy because it started, like you said, with the previous regime of like trying to do it, and they were like heavily against it. And that was like rumored for a long time, but he finally was like, there was a lot of pushback. And then with this new regime, he kind of was like, hey, let's film it, and let's do it, and let's just test it. If we test it at a test screening and it doesn't work, we'll take it out. And then he said that they saw it and they're like, no, we don't need to test it. It's fine. Let's just roll with it. And good for them on that. Because that's what everyone's been wanting for like the last, what was it, 6 years? That it's since Henry Cavill's been.
Justice Zack Snyder.
Yeah. It's been 6 years. Yeah. So like,
no,
yeah.
technically 2 years because Zack Snyder came out 2 years ago.
I mean, but it was like from a movie that was like he filmed years ago.
Yes,
right?
but
Yeah.
it's completely different in the sense that it's a way better movie.
Yeah.
Just wanted to put that out there.
But yeah, no, super huge. Like guys, like this is Superman we're talking about. This was the first movie you brought out in 2013. One of my top 5 movies. If I'm just gonna say it again, just because I feel like saying it, go watch it. Man of Steel, fucking awesome. But yeah, it was moronic that they didn't bring him back for 10 plus years. That to give him his own second solo movie. Like, he's fucking awesome. Like, why not? And then he looks more lively now. He's got a bigger S, more yellow, looks more like Donner or whatever other Superman. He's got the John Williams theme.
Yeah.
I do like the Hans Zimmer theme. No one ever complained
Hans
about
Zimmer
the
is
Hans
amazing.
Zimmer.
That's why
Yeah, no one ever complains about Hans Zimmer's music. So I do
Ever.
wish they ever. So yeah, that was dope. But dude, just fucking great. Like, great, easy way to put him back in. And then as you saw on Monday, like he actually put out a full-on statement. It's like, I'm back. Like, wanted to wait for the weekend, but I'm fucking back, baby.
Thank you for
And
your
that
patience.
just shows how excited. Yeah, that just shows how excited he is to be back. It's like, I'm fucking back, baby. It's just a taste of what you got. You're gonna get the whole shaft later.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson released something welcoming him back like this week after the movie opened, like, you know, making it like official, and having Henry Cavill say it, making it official.
Warner Brothers Instagram posted it. Their verified account posted it too.
They all shared it across their social media. It was.
If you look at the comments, it's like so many verified people are like, "Thank God, we miss you." Like, so,
and like
it's one of those moves. It was like, wow, Walter Hamada, if you just did this 3 years ago, you'd still have your job right now.
And it's good for Henry Cavill because like and even if like I'm not a big Batman versus Superman fan, and of course I didn't love Joss Whedon's Justice League. I did enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League, but everyone who either even if they didn't like those movies that he was in, they've all agreed that he wasn't the problem. Like he was a good Superman, Clark Kent, and he just needed a good movie. And like now he gets to finally maybe have one. I never understood this. I never understood why after Man and Steel they just didn't give him another solo movie before doing Batman versus Superman, which I thought probably would have been a better idea just for him to just to kind of have like establish him a bit more before jumping into like, you know, the big like crossover not team up movie, but like having them fight kind of thing. And I wonder if this is why this is happening too, because Dwayne Johnson's been talking about like having them go at it, like Black Adam and Superman. And then today he finally was like very honest about like when that would happen, and he said it will be a long way down the road. Even though he kind of hyped it up all last week, he was like, it'll be a long time before that kind of happens because they have to like fairly like reintroduce his Superman in a proper way in a really good film that like gives him his due. So I get that. I just don't want them to get ahead of themselves by hyping up other projects and other things like, oh, this can happen down the road. Like just focus on getting the guy a fucking Man of Steel sequel before we do anything else.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, you're totally right. I think he was just doing it more for the marketing sense of like the reason you should see this movie is like because I like Black Adam's so sick that he can take on Superman, and we'll show you in our movie like later down the line. By the way, I brought Superman back from like purgatory. So go see my movie. Great idea. I can't like I'm like because also like as I've said before like Henry is also like a super nerd about Superman. So I can imagine that he's gonna have a lot of input in it too. So his heart's gonna be in this movie. It's not like he's in it for the paycheck. I guarantee he could probably make the SAG minimum, and still like be I'm down for this. So I'm excited for it. It's a good thing overall. It's just an overall win for Warner and like this whole news cycle. Seriously, like
I would have loved to have been in some of those meetings where they were like trying to make this happen initially and there was pushback. I just wonder like was the pushback because he's so connected to Zack Snyder's like that kind of world, or like what was like? Is that the only reason for the pushback initially to like have him back?
100%.
That's ridiculous. Over one fucking dude that you like for whatever reason
and Zack cast him, and he cast him. Like
didn't he cast Gal Gadot too, right? He cast Wonder Woman.
Everyone. He cast the entire Trinity.
Yeah,
he cast everybody.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that they're just so against him. But yeah, no, they should have been like, hey, like so basically the story behind that, not to make a whole divulge, but basically what happened was they were thinking of doing a post-credit scene for Man of Steel where an ominous box glowing green is dropped off at Wayne Manor. And like you clearly see a Bruce Wayne pick it up, and then like basically they're all in the writing room like, oh, well, why don't we just put them against each other? Because the Frank Miller comic, and then they're like, well, Zach's already done this. Why don't we just have him do that? And then all shit hits the fan from there. So, and then they're like, fuck, we should have done this. Now we can't go back because now we're basically putting all of our marbles with this one director.
Yeah.
And our movie didn't make $1 billion, so now we're fucked. But it's ridiculous. So
yeah.
Exciting times though. Exciting times.
Well,
Flash
all is right.
coming soon.
All is right almost in the DC universe.
Don't say that because we're just gonna fall.
I just jinxed it. I just ruined it.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
no, but it's gonna be fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and like also just talking about just being happy for Henry Cavill, who seems like he's excited to be back. I'm pretty sure he can't wait to get to work on kind of find out like what they have in store for him next. I know we talked about like they're looking for writers for Man of Steel 2. That was like one of the big stories from last week. Just take your time and find the right people and don't rush it. Like this is a good time for you guys not to rush it. At this point, like you need to play in your own playground with yourselves and not try to keep up with that other big entity out there that's also making comic book movies. I would say just really just focus on building your universe up again and make good movies, write good scripts, find good directors, find good actors to
Preach.
play these other roles, and like really focus on like the good that you guys have, because this is like your proper chance to turn it around. And I hope they do. I believe all the rushing was because of the previous regime. There was a lot of like, I think they were pushing a lot of the, let's get this out there right now, and I think that's kind of changed with this. So hopefully, take your time.
I mean, told you so. Like these guys are assholes.
Take your sweet time. I know, like, there's that fan outcry when especially like you put in a mid credit scene like this, and fans are just like, well, when's it gonna happen? Like, what's going on? Like, be patient. Like, if Henry Cavill can be patient, if he can wait 6 years,
6 years
to like play this part again, then like we can wait. I'm assuming it's like 2 years max, maybe a little bit more, before you get something of significance.
If we don't get a trailer in like 2 years, I'll riot.
Yeah, and I think you'll get one in 2 years. I know they already said that they're hard at work on like producing a sequel to Black Adam. Like they're already have ideas for that. Again, just don't rush anything. Like, I feel like now your focus should be on Superman
The
and
Flash.
I mean, I guess like the Flash is
Aquaman.
already done, but like, what you're kind of
Oh yeah, but just focus on those things, get those right.
yeah.
Make sure nothing blows up in the press, and then honestly, like they said, they're gonna go back to Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. Just give it, Like we can have an whole episode about what we should do next now.
Right.
Now that we're in a positive direction, but we can say that for another episode. And we have nothing to talk about.
It's true. But we promised you good DC news, and we gave it to you. So all this was really good. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie. It was weird when the box office came out. There was like a mix of people who thought it would do higher, and like there were some trades that called it a disappointment, the opening, but it's really not. I mean, it's actually the biggest opening for a Dwayne Johnson like solo movie where he's the lead, not like where he's part of an ensemble. Like some of his Fast movies have opened better, but this is his biggest opening as like a lead performer in a movie. So there's something to be said about that. And like we've said before on other episodes, he's an international movie star, so there's a lot of worldwide box office that'll come into play.
Dude, it's gonna make so much in India.
Yeah, there's so much potential for it to make a lot of money globally. So like,
also, just need to point out too, like it's another thing that DC just never, or Warner Brothers just never gets recognized for. It's like they actually have a lot of like non-white in their universe. Just in general, they're not a lot of non-white.
It's true.
Gal's Israeli. Only three are Ezra, Ben, and Henry.
And Henry, everyone else,
everyone else everyone got POCs and different cultures. So just saying, just a little something to tack on. But just so I pointed out, I was like, yeah, man, that was a total. I don't want to call it the wrong country or region. So all guess you're
no,
I'm white, not.
I don't know.
All Middle Eastern brown cast. Like it wasn't like there was no whitewashing. There was no whitewashing in the sense of like totally unrealistic. So just one thing I wanted to point out. Do not get hung up on that. Please, no one attack me on Twitter. But yeah, no, I think we're moving upwards in DC land. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, me too. So round of applause for Black Adam. Good job, guys. You guys did it. Made a competent movie. It was really fun. It was really fun and entertaining. Now I guess the next big movie is Black Panther, November 11th.
Black Adam gets a month.
Yeah. So yeah, they'll be like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Wow, I can't believe we're almost at the end of October. So that'll be the next big thing that we'll be discussing. But yeah, I'm excited for. Oh, you know what was interesting before we close up? James Cameron, who's been also promoting his Avatar stuff, because he always feels the need to kind of throw shade at things when he's promoting his stuff.
I love James Cameron when he does that.
He made a comment today about DC and Marvel movies, and he was saying that the characterizations, he was just like, well, they're big and that's fun, they're fun, but every character basically isn't like an adult. They all seem like they're like in like arrested development and just stuck in college. They don't really seem like they're like real rounded characters. And I was trying to think, like, do Marvel and DC characters come off as if they're like man children? Like that's what he was trying to say. Like there's no like real like adult characterization, and they all act like, you know, college kids, even though they're in their like 30s, 40s, some of them older. Like
Dude,
that
it's
was
a
his
fucking
complaint.
comic book. James Cameron, get the fuck out of here, dude. It's a goddamn comic book movie.
And
Get
you don't have
outta
to,
here,
you don't
dude.
have to shade them to talk about your
Yeah.
long delayed sequel to Avatar that no one
Just
wanted.
because you
I
say
guess
congratulations once for them beating your all-time record of movie box office doesn't mean anything, all right, bud? You're not a Spielberg or a Tarantino, in my
Not at all.
opinion. You're one tier below.
He was. I mean, back in the day. I mean, like he had Terminator, Terminator 2, and Aliens.
I mean,
like he was.
no, we're not taking it away. Like, but you're not in that about that level to be like you're whatever you say, like changes the landscape. Just shut
Yeah,
up.
I just wish I wish older directors, the older they get, I wish they would throw less shade at certain things.
Just stay in your lane, guys.
Just like we can enjoy Martin Scorsese and all your projects. You don't have to like throw shade at like the younger generation for like liking something else that's not like The Irishman. Like I don't know. It always rubs me the wrong way when like older directors do this. It's like you don't have to like have a little bit more, you know, taste, I guess, or yeah, it's our class, I guess, when it comes to stuff like that. But they can't help it. They're old and they're famous and they're like we can say whatever we want because we put in time, I guess. Like whatever.
They're gods, yeah.
They're gods, yeah. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap us up tonight. I'm actually well, Jack's gonna find this out right now. We're actually recording something with our friend Donnie for Halloween because we know we mentioned it last week. Jack does not do horror movies.
Totally fine.
But I wanted to get something out for Monday on Halloween, so Donnie and I will be talking about not like a deep dive on the Halloween franchise, but more about like kind of where the franchise stands now with like Halloween ends and like where it can go like in the future, if anywhere. So we're gonna be talking a lot about that. I'm recording that tomorrow, and that will be out on Monday. But this episode will be out ahead of that. So you get to hear us talk about all the good DC news, all the good Black Adam news, followed by me and Donnie nerding out on Halloween and horror movies. The good thing about this is that we get to have the best of both worlds. Jack can be in for all this stuff, and then then I can just reel people in for the things I want to talk about. So yeah, it's perfect. It's gonna.
I love it.
It'll be fun. But yeah, on that note, we're gonna wrap it up here. As always, you can listen to us across all of our various podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Good Pods HQ, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Those are the main ones. There are other ones that they also use that I have never used, but if you find them, great. Listen to us wherever you want. Doesn't really matter to us. Also, thanks for the continued positive feedback, especially on Good Pods. I checked today, and we are number 6 in film reviews and number 10 in all of film and TV on Good Pods. So thank you for that as well.
People, I love to hear that because it sounds like we're following our school assignments that we give out every week, and it doesn't really change that much because it's like, subscribe, comment, don't comment, delete comment, then reply again to the deleted comment, and then comment again on that comment. Because we just want the algorithm on our side. We want everybody to share the podcast. Tell if you don't know about it. If you find a clip funny on Instagram, share with your friends. Tell them to follow us because we do have some clips coming out week by week. They're getting better every week too. So shout out to the studios for continuing to get better on those. We love them, and I appreciate you all for listening. Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your neighbor. Tell the mailman this time because he gets the news, no pun intended, all the time. So tell the mailman, see if he says somebody. He sees a lot of people every day. So yeah, we appreciate you all. Thank you for listening. Gays, as always, I'll probably see you in like a day or two. So
yep. In person.
But everybody, you're hearing this on a Thursday. We're talking on a Tuesday. So talk to you in the future. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.